Well, hi everyone. Thanks so much for joining me for this new episode of Inspiring Our World. My name is Julie Tara. I'm Unique and Wellness Ambassador and the host of this podcast. And today we're going to talk about men's health, both physical and mental, as we approach and celebrate Father's Day. Did you know that men are 80% less likely to use a regular source of health care, like a primary care physician, than women? In fact, a lot of men go to the doctor only if they're sick or have a medical emergency. Although men's lifespans are gradually catching up to women's, not monitoring one's health is partially to blame for the discrepancy. The 5 biggest health risk factors for men are heart disease, stroke, suicide, prostate cancer, and lung cancer. Prostate cancer is the most common type found in men, and the American Cancer Society recommends a prostate-specific antigen, PSA, blood test annually for healthy men starting at age 50 or older. Men who eat large quantities of red meat and high-fat dairy products and inadequate amounts of fruits and vegetables have a higher risk for prostate cancer. Men 50 years and older are also at the highest risk for developing skin cancer, more than twice as likely as women, according to the Skin Cancer Foundation. The risk is attributed to more frequent sun exposure and fewer visits to the doctor. Although it's not listed on the top 5 health risk factors, diabetes presents a unique set of complications for men. It increases the risk for lower testosterone levels that can lead to sexual impotence, depression, and anxiety. Untreated diabetes may lead to a whole range of physical dysfunctions, including kidney damage, heart disease, stroke, and vision problems. Mental well-being is overlooked by many segments of the population, but especially with men. Men experience depression differently than women, in that they report symptoms of fatigue and irritability more often than actual anxiety or depression. They also are less apt to seek help or treatment. Ironically, even though more women attempt suicide, more men actually die by their own doing. This is compounded by unintentional deaths resulting from men's higher rates of smoking and drinking. If you're an adult man who hasn't had a preventative care checkup in more than a year, now's the time to visit your doctor, even if it's only a phone consultation. Many conditions do not have obvious symptoms and may put you at risk for heart attack or stroke. Some basic tips for men's health maintenance are to protect yourself from injury by wearing helmets, safety glasses, seat belts, sunscreen, and insect repellent when needed. Wash your hands often. Pay attention to prostate health. To lower risk of prostate problems, eat a nutritious, balanced, low-fat diet with lots of fruits and vegetables. Manage stress by getting restful sleep. Take time for yourself and use meditation, yoga, and other ways to maintain a positive mental attitude. Seek help when feeling anxious, unusual fatigue, or sadness. Find at least one person you feel comfortable confiding in, even if you don't speak to a professional therapist. Get regular checkups and screenings from a healthcare provider. One of the most significant social stereotypes is that boys are in some way stronger or tougher than girls. Yet little girls grow up to be women who have to be tough enough to go through childbirth. This stereotype of masculine strength creates boys who grow into men who suppress their feelings. In other words, it has been ingrained in them that feeling vulnerable is a sign of weakness, and discussing their anxiety or depression is unmanly. Men need to be freed of the stigma attached to their feelings of imperfection, loneliness, and helplessness. Because all these so-called negative thoughts are part of being human and living through the various stages of life, regardless of gender. Simply feeling able to confide in a therapist, friend, or any trusted person is a big step towards mental health. Research supports the fact that men who cannot speak openly about their emotions may be less likely to recognize mental health issues. And if they don't recognize they're going through some kind of crisis, they're not going to seek help. Instead, they commonly turn to coping mechanisms such as drinking alcohol to excess, doing drugs, or acting overly aggressive. Some other mental health symptoms in men include unexplained anger, irritability, frustration, trouble concentrating, persistent feelings of worry, engaging in high-risk activities, unusual behavior that impedes daily functions, and thoughts of suicide. In fact, in England, the suicide rate is 3 times higher in men than in women. In North America, the rate is 4 times higher with men than women. Those contemplating suicide often believe no one feels the way they do. You are not alone. This statement alone can help someone who is suffering through a mental health crisis, because the knowledge that a specific feeling is not unique makes it somewhat more acceptable as part of society at large. Risk factors for mental health issues with men include social isolation, substance abuse, unemployment, military-related trauma, genetic predisposition, mood disorders, and health challenges specific to aging in those 85 and older. In their 2018 report, the World Health Organization emphasized that cultural stigma surrounding mental health was one of the chief obstacles to people admitting that they were struggling and seeking help. And this was especially pronounced in men. Because so many men have been brought up to think of mental health as not concrete, the subject has become known by various media as a silent epidemic and a sleeper issue that has crept into the minds of millions. The fact that men's mental health is trending in the news gives hope that there is light at the end of the tunnel. New fathers and mothers can lead the way by treating boys and girls more equitably, by nurturing and encouraging both genders to articulate both thoughts and feelings, and to be generous and kind to as many as possible. It's never too early to guide a child into living as an active participant in the global wellness community. In North America, Father's Day is celebrated annually on the 3rd Sunday of June. In other countries, such as in Latin America and in Europe, fathers are honored on St. Joseph's Day, a traditional Catholic holiday that falls on March 19. This year, Father's Day falls on June 18. The idea of Father's Day was initiated by a woman named Sonora Smart Dodd from Spokane, Washington, who wanted to establish a day like Mother's Day for male parents. As one of 6 children raised by a widower, she wanted to honor her father. She successfully canvassed her idea at local churches, the YMCA, shopkeepers and government officials, and the first Father's Day in the United States was celebrated in Washington State on June 19, 1910. By 1916, President Wilson honored the day by using telegraph signals to unfurl a flag in Spokane, where he pressed a button in Washington, D.C. Then President Coolidge urged all state governments to observe Father's Day in 1924. During the 1920s and 1930s, a movement rose to combine Mother's Day and Father's Day into Parents' Day. Activists assembled on Mother's Day every year in New York City's Central Park to rally in favor of Parents' Day. This push failed when the Great Depression happened. Struggling retailers and advertisers wanted two separate days to promote sales of gift items. Father's Day was marketed as a second Christmas for men. By World War II, a different group of activists successfully argued that celebrating Father's Day was a way to honor American troops and support the war effort. However, it wasn't until 1972 when President Nixon signed a proclamation that Father's Day became a federal holiday. Depending on where you and the fathers in your lives are during these unusual times, you may celebrate differently this year. Whether you're sending love via Zoom or FaceTime, by phone or a traditional card, together in spirit or lucky enough to be physically on site, always honor your dad. The older they get, the more it counts. This Father's Day, remind Dad to take care of himself with a daily walk or exercise of some kind, eating healthy and practicing total wellness. Ken's and Mega Daily 4 supports men's health. If you're able, take your father for a checkup, a walk in the park, or fix him a delicious smoothie with Ken's Vital Balance. Father's Day is not just about giving ties and other gifts. What you give Dad in terms of time spent with him is perhaps the most valuable gift of all. I want to wish each and every one of you a safe and happy Father's Day. Thanks so much for tuning in to this podcast. Please do share this podcast with others, and don't forget to subscribe on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Apple Podcasts. And we do put these podcasts onto the Nikan International YouTube channel as well, so you can enjoy it there and comment too. Have a marvelous week, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.